Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday I want to talk to you about how to best search and find items in your local area, even when many people claim that, well, it's hard to find anything in my area, there's nothing here. I hear that so often from people, and it's just a lame excuse. Now I get it, somebody could live in the middle of nowhere, but you know what you can do? You can source on eBay, you can source on Amazon, you can source all kinds of sites online and do some arbitrage and make some money. But most people are just skipping over things in their local area, in their local thrift stores and garage sales and stuff, because they just don't know that it's valuable. And so I want to show you today, for example, I live in Texas. Somebody in California might mention brands of, say, clothing, for example, that I never see. Where here in Texas, there's going to be more Western wear. And there's going to be certain brands that are more heavily represented here than they are in other parts of the country. Now, how do you figure that out? Very simple. I remember when eBay first launched this part of their search engine where you could sort by items closest to you. It just opened up a wealth of information to people because we didn't have a lot of information at the time to go on. So let's sort by just basic shirts. And we'll do shirts for men. That's the first thing that popped up. We'll see what it shows us. Now, of course, I presume most people know this, but maybe not, because I still talk to resellers sometimes who've been reselling for a long time and they still make this fatal mistake. So they come here, they search for an item, and okay, they look at the prices and say, okay, this is worth buying based on the first things they see. The problem with that, obviously, you know what I'm going to say if you know this, is that it's only showing what people are asking. I could list a pencil on eBay tomorrow for $1,000. No one's going to ever pay that for it. So it doesn't matter what we see in the search results of what people are trying to sell an item for. It matters what people are actually willing to pay for it. And the way we find that is a very basic thing, but it's worth mentioning because many people don't understand this for some reason, is we want to sort by sold listings. Now, we also want to make sure that if we're going to find stuff in our area, we can't just, let's see what this is. Let's just click on this first one that pops up here and see where this seller is. They're in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm in Texas. Now, this brand is available here in Texas. I see it sometimes, but not very often. Maybe it's available in overflow there. So this is not very valuable to me because this is not in my area very often. It's pretty rare. So what we want to do is go back to our search results. And because we don't care for this purpose what has sold if they're not in our area, because we may never find these items. We go down to item location in the left-hand bar, and we'll do within 25 miles. That's a pretty general radius around where I am. It gives me a good idea where to go. Now, here's something that sold for $14. Here's something that sold $15, $16. Here's something that sold for $9.99. Obviously, we don't care about that. That's low ticket items we don't want to waste our time with. So what we want to do is go click price plus shipping, highest first, so we can see what is some stuff that's sold that's very high value. And there could be things like these graphic tees that are just rare items from the 90s that are vintage, and Dior is going to be a high ticket item that could pretty much be available anywhere, but it might be very hard to find. But we're just trying to get an idea of some stuff. All these vintage tees, while important to note, is not really what we're going to be able to find everywhere. That's why they're so expensive, because they're hard to find anywhere. Just because they happen to be selling close to me does not mean they're easy to find. But at least gives me an idea. Filson is something that I find out here every now and then, but it's pretty decently rare. That's why it's so expensive. Remember, these are things that actually sold. So this is not just what it could sell for. These are things that actually sold. Here's a Pendleton. Now Tom Ford, that's pretty readily available. Gucci obviously is. more graphic tees. And so what we're finding is we're just seeing a bunch of stuff that's kind of generic, meaning it would be everywhere pretty much. So we might need to narrow it down a little bit more. Yeah, it's mainly graphic tees. So let's do this instead. Since many of these are not going to be available in our area because they're just rare. They're not going to be available anywhere. That's why they're selling for $200 or $300. Let's go for dress shirts for men. Now these are very generic searches, obviously. So let's go over here. Within 25 miles. Let's make sure we're only looking at sold listings. We got price plus shipping highest. Okay, and we see that Dior again, of course. Tom Ford, of course. Mizzen and Main, that's out here pretty commonly. Not very common, but I do see it every now and then. Ralph Lauren Purple Label, that is something to look for. And that's pretty much available everywhere too. This brand, never seen it before. Let's click on it and just look around at it. Yeah, have not seen that out here before. So it may be something that's very hard to find. It may be something that's very easy to find. I have not seen it before, but maybe I've missed it. So Ralph Lauren's obviously readily available. Eton I see every now and then, but it's something worth noting. Double RL Ralph Lauren is pretty rare, but you do see it every now and then. Obviously, same with the Purple Label. This one I've found a few times out here, but it's worth noting. Found Turnbull a few times as well. Found this many times. Thomas Pink found many times. Matter of fact, one time I went to a thrift store and it looked like somebody just dumped their closet there. There were about 20 of these Thomas Pink, all different colors, but the same size, basically. I think there are a few different sizes, but they're pretty close to each other. And as you can see, and they were $3 each, and as you can see, they're pretty. This person's selling them all for this price, pretty decent price, and make a good profit off of it. And we can go on through this, but it doesn't even matter because this may not be your area, so it may be irrelevant to you. The point I actually want to get is that this is a way you can search for any item or any type of item. If you're selling niche items, this is a way for you to determine what is selling in your area. The value in that, obviously, besides knowing what items you might be able to sell, is the fact that these items are in your area. Now, the people could be getting them from across the country, who knows? But they might be getting them locally, and so it gives you an idea of what could be possible in your area. There may be brands that pop up in your search that are different than mine, where you say, wow, I've seen that brand before, but I didn't look it up. I didn't realize it's worth anything. You might have skipped over those Thomas Pinks, thinking, oh, I don't know anything about that. And you might have been leaving good money on the table. So this can help you to determine in your area what is more commonly available, what you see selling more in your area, and that can help you make more profit. Go out there and find some good items. Stop looking for excuses. Don't be one of these people that's saying, well, it's so hard to find things in my area, or, well, I just don't have anything good in my area. I've heard people say that, and I went into the very store they said there was nothing good there on the very same day they were there, and I found a cart load of good items. So I know the simple reality is that people aren't doing the research. They don't know. And the thing is, they can know. It's not a lack of capacity. They're just not putting in the work. And this is one of the simple ways you can put in a little bit of effort to see what's selling in your area, find brands you never heard of before, or you may have heard of, but you ignored, thinking they're not worth anything, and you might have been leaving some money on the table. So my friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.